Hi, and welcome to the Joyflu Cast, where I, your host, Andrea Martell, joy scientist, interviews cool people, in my opinion, about joy. As a joy scientist, I combine academic science and my own experiments on how to create and spread joy. Joyflu. I'm the founder and creator of the Waking Women's Collective and Synergise training. I'm a professional trainer, facilitator, and transformational coach, specialising in joy, leadership, and communication. I work with people who desire a richer and more fulfilling life. To learn about Joyflu and my Joy Embodiment program, check out andreamartell.com. Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining me. So here.
Thank you. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, beautiful. So I've got Melitta here today, and for our listeners, Melitta is a devoted facilitator, yoga coach, yoga teacher, coach, and adventure leader who imparts her radiant spirit, joyful life into all her offerings, leaving you feeling light, energized, and inspired. And Melitta's got a really cool offering at the moment called Real Raw Nepal, her mountain yoga adventure. So this is an exciting travel journey into the real Nepal. But I'll let her show it more a bit later. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew. It's great to be here.
Lovely. So obviously all things joy related. How is joy for you right now?
Oh, I love these questions. Very good. I'm feeling very joyful right now, I've got to say. Yeah, it's always good to do something different, and because I've got some exciting things coming up, as well as my usual, awesome stuff like teaching yoga. There's a lot of, I have like my daily joys, and then I have my moment by moment joys, and then I have like the big bang kind of kahuna, oh my God kind of joys. So I've got to say I'm doing pretty well in the joy bank account right now.
It sounds like you've got a fair bit banked up.
Yeah, and look, I also acknowledge that, I think that's really important because sometimes we don't have it so much, and that's when we can kind of draw on some of those things. And for me, I guess it sounds quite common, but joy is in little things. So gratitude is something I practice every single day. I actually have a friend that I text. She's another yoga teacher. We text each other each day with what we're grateful for.
Oh,
yeah, it's actually a really nice way to communicate, and that's something I purposely do before I fall asleep at night, because you're going to kind of marinate in whatever you're thinking about for the next 8 hours. And I think when things are challenging or difficult or whatever, focusing on more what you do want and what you can appreciate, particularly if they're sort of everyday things. So it doesn't have to be the big bang things. They're just like an absolute bonus, It's the little things and, appreciation.
Yeah, beautiful. So this is a good lead-in one. So what creates or brings joy for you?
Wow, such a cool question. What a cool thing to talk about, actually, isn't it?
It is.
Because how often do people talk about that? They usually talk about their problems.
Yeah. Not here.
Yeah, excellent. Yay. What creates joy? I think a big part of it that I've come to learn and continue to learn is about probably about being authentic to myself and to who I am and what's important to me. And that includes, well, what is joy to me? Like, joy to a lot of people in Melbourne is a coffee. Joy to me is a chai or a kombucha. so, I mean, that's a little example, but, like New Year's Eve, I spent it doing a meditation retreat. For some people, that would be like, oh my gosh, why would you want to do that? But that's my version of joy.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing is for everyone to find what theirs is. And just little things like anytime I see like a border collie or a kelpie, oh my gosh, my joy scale just goes right. So we all have our own things, and I guess there was a time when I used to probably try and fit in to other people's version of joy, but it's not fulfilling. So yeah, for me, joy is, I mean, I'm so lucky. Every single time, without even one exception ever, over 10 years of teaching yoga, every single time, like, I mean, literally every single time, I feel immense joy after it. Yeah. And I feel really lucky that I have that, because it's good for me and it's good for the people in front of me and for the people that they interact with. So that's one of the big reasons why I love teaching yoga, is because it's just very joyful. And I like making it really accessible to people because, like, I think as yoga teachers, we have almost like a duty of care to create an environment that's welcoming and joyful. I'm often like not exactly cracking jokes, but like it's not all serious and oh my goodness, your toe is not in the right spot,
Yeah, no.
Because we're all individuals, so yeah, creating lightheartedness, and I guess I also get a lot of joy about the way that I interpret things. So when I don't take myself too seriously, it's a lot more fun.
Yep.
Because then you're just kind of a bit playful and you're like, oh, let's see what happens here. And what if I try that? And then it's such a big deal. It's not about succeed or fail. And I love measuring. I mean, what is a day well lived,
Yeah.
A day well lived for me could be different to someone else. And I imagine, it really correlates quite high to how much joy you have. So
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so many things.
And so what's been your biggest influence in getting you to with your relationship with joy?
Oh, I love that. Relationship with joy. Oh, what's been the biggest influence? Wow, there's a couple of different influences. One is definitely yoga. So yoga in the true holistic sense. So not like a lot of people think yoga is just another physical practice, but that's like 1/8 of the whole system. And yoga's, it's sort of like it's a lifestyle. So there's a lot more to it. Probably, so yoga has influenced that, and coaching. So having done NLP training, and I think at the end of the day, probably the thing that's brought me the most, or brought me most closest to joy, is understanding that I'm not my mind. That because I can observe my thoughts and all those stories that we all have and we'll probably all continue to have, but through meditation and yoga practice, becoming more aware of it, picking it up quicker, getting out of it quicker, I'd say that's probably, that's like an ultimate freedom, and brings a lot more joy. And that's where you can kind of have a bit of humour. So not always when you're in it, when you're in the parade. Yeah. Sometimes you're a Disney character, but then when you kind of step out and you realise you're in the parade, you kind of go, oh, that's what was happening, and then you can laugh about it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well said. So as a yoga teacher, as a coach, and all the myriad of other hats that you wear, what impact on joy have you witnessed in people that you've worked with in these various things that you do?
You're rocking these questions. I love these questions. Oh, if only conversations were like this more often. How good
I know,
would it be?
right?
So good. It's all about those quality questions.
Sure is.
Yeah, I think that's what's so great about when you do something that's really in line with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be anything for an individual person. So, I mean, through, coaching and facilitating workshops, for me, I see the joy when people realise that we're all kind of in it together.
Mm-hmm.
We're all doing the best we can with what we've got, and they feel that connection to others. And then particularly through yoga practices and meditation, that joy when people come closer to themselves. So it's not that they need to change themselves to be anything better. It's just like we have, I guess it's sort of like we've got cobwebs on us and we sort of need to dust them off. And, there's all different ways you can do that to come back to your own joy. So it can be being around great company. It can be through spiritual practice. It can be walking in nature. Could be, reading a great book. But that's probably what I've seen the most through those modalities and the workshops I've run, which are very much around mindset. So helping people to, I guess, become clear on what's important to them and what success means to them, because it doesn't really matter what success means to someone else. I mean, we've probably all done that thing where, we think, oh yeah, that's the thing, that's going to be great, I'm going to feel really joyful then. Mm-hmm. And we chase something that we deem as kind of success in society's measure, and we get there and then we go, oh jeepers, I don't feel fulfilled. Whereas something else small or that's really important to us that other people might not care less, you work hard and you get there and you go, oh wow, I feel really joyful about that. And in a very overt, joyful way, when I run my trips to Nepal, that is awesome. You just got to look at the photos of the people. Like, it's kind of like everyone, like the smiles on people's faces, it's like, it's gold. It's like my joy radar and theirs is going off all the time,
Yep.
And like on the last trip, there was this awesome mum on it, and she hadn't been away from her kids. They were like 10 years old and she'd never been away from them. And they were messaging her and they said, oh my gosh, Mum, I've never seen your smile so big before. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome,
Beautiful.
And just the great thing about being able to take yourself to a totally new culture and environment is you get a new perspective and you see things from other people's eyes, and you tend to reevaluate your values and you see what means joy to them.
Yeah.
And that often rubs off on you as well. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the biggest blessing. I love it. And just the comments you get, like, on the last trip we'd been on a rickshaw through Kathmandu and it's all kind of, chaos and colours and a lot of fun. And this woman who was on it, who's probably, a little bit over 60, she said, oh my God, I think this is the best day of my life.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, wow, how cool is that?
It's
so awesome. I think it's a real blessing, and it's really fun if you get to be part of, get to witness, let alone even be just a little bit of someone else's joy.
Yeah, sure. Magic. So in my experience, emotions, particular the unpleasant ones, have huge implications to the amount of joy which we're able to experience. So I'm going to run through 4 feelings, and for each one, just what is that pops into your mind that reminds you of that particular feeling.
Oh, sorry, the audio was a bit funny for a second.
That's all right. So what is something that makes you feel angry?
When people hurt animals.
Yeah, fair enough too. Sadness.
Probably missing, like, grieving, like a loss of someone.
Yeah. Yep. Fear.
Fear. When I do something that's way outside my comfort zone, and yeah, there's probably a lot of uncertainty around it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Guilt or shame.
Guilt. Yeah, guilt or shame. They're really interesting topics. I've been reading Brené Brown recently. Guilt or shame is when I haven't had integrity with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually done something that goes against my values. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. And so we've talked about the relationship to joy. How would you describe your relationship to things like misery, pain and suffering, hurt or disappointment?
Yeah, I guess first of all, probably with the language, I would never say I've experienced misery.
Yeah.
For me, that's a really big word. Like misery is, your legs just been blown up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to use those words that are overly dramatic because I think ultimately I have a pretty blessed life. But sorry, what was the question?
So what's your relationship to
Relationship, those? Yeah.
Yep.
My relationship to those has, we've had a lifelong relationship and it's been a great love affair. Can laugh now. Yeah. My relationship has changed as I've I guess, matured. My relationship when I was younger was that they should be avoided at all costs, and that means there's something wrong with me and there's a big problem and, scary, scary boogie monster, run away.
Yep.
And now my relationship with it is that it's like the flip side of the coin of the other emotions that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to feel joy and to know what joy really is, I need to have felt maybe sadness and hurt. So it's doesn't mean I necessarily like them. However, I'm getting better, not 100%, it's all a work in progress, but getting better at accepting them as part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're necessary and that it's normal and human, and knowing that even though other people might not show that they're experiencing those things, they all do. So it's not like, like on Facebook, everything, nice. I know, I always call it that. Everything's all bright and shiny, and just knowing that not to compare myself, I guess.
Yep.
So it's an ongoing learning, but I have really found that living like a yogic lifestyle and following those principles and practices, mm-hmm. and more being able to witness my mind, that's really helped me, because I guess at the end of the day, all of our emotions, our energy and motion is, to a degree, it's a story.
Yep.
And we get, maybe we've read some stories more than others, so they kind of, they're a bit of a superhighway.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a growing, ongoing relationship, and it's a really interesting way to look at it. I like it.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's really cool. If you could wave a magic wand at a level, what is one thing that you would change in our world?
Another really good one. If I could make, I think, yeah, it would be around. I think it would be around. Yeah, probably be people understanding that they're not their mind, and having the strategies and techniques and skills to be able to navigate that in resourceful ways. Because I think if we had that, if each person had that, and I guess along with that, probably a draw would be for everyone to know that, they are good enough. from the moment they're born. They don't need to prove anything, that they're just loved because they're here. It sounds very idealistic, but it is a magic wand. So
that's why it's a magic wand.
Yeah, I think that the mind thing, though, like if you think of any behaviours that we find destructive or challenging in society, they've all come from believing in a story that's not good for the person or the people around them. So if everyone had that level of clarity and could manage their emotions and their stories, then I think, you know, we'd have a much more peaceful planet, and you know, just behave a lot better with each other, because we'd be getting our own energy and our own source of joy from ourselves.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And I loved it because with that question you went straight to resolution as opposed to focusing on the problem.
All right, I didn't even realise. There you go.
No, it's really
awesome.
cool. It's really cool. So I didn't have to lead you with that at all. How far through are you in regards to what you are here to complete in this lifetime?
Oh, gee. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the ultimate, because I'm just sort of learning as I go. I think I'm, you know, like you have that game, warmer, warmer, cooler, cooler. I think most of the time I'm getting warmer, and I think when I'm getting cooler, the universe kind of like slaps me back into line.
Yeah.
It's really hard because, yeah, I mean, I'm probably, well, maybe not quite, and who knows, halfway through my life. I think I feel like it's accelerating though. So, you know, I might have been completely sort of oblivious to it for the first 20 years. And then I think as I'm getting more mature, let's say, I think it's accelerating because I'm realizing how much more important it is, and that when we find the thing that makes us shine, other people just do as well. Like it, you know. So I don't really know, but I think I'm getting kind of, my pace is increasing towards it. Hopefully I'm well on the way, but then again, there's a lot of potential out there for all of us. So I'll let you know in 40 years.
Awesome. I look forward to that conversation.
Yeah, we'll do another interview then.
Yeah. So now that you've accomplished everything that you're here to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
So if you could inspire others, those that are listening to this, to be or to action something, what would it be and why?
To learn how to get to the point where you learn how to really deeply belong to yourself. Because I think a lot of us go around sort of looking for things outside, and like I'm still, you know, a grasshopper learning. But, you know, we're seeking this and we're seeking that, and I guess probably maybe don't worry about fitting in, because sometimes when you fit in, you don't actually really belong, if that makes sense. And I'm reading Brené Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, at the moment. So there's quite a bit of influence in there in what I'm talking about. It's not, you know, credit to her. But yeah, getting to a point where you just belong to yourself so much that you don't have other people around you, or don't go to nature for connection or whatever. Getting to the point where you know who you are and you love who you are and you're your best friend so deeply that you can kind of walk through the world kind of free, you know, like you get to be who you want to be, and you get to choose your life how you want it to be, and you get to choose the thoughts that are going to serve you better. you get to, you know, go on adventures or do the things that are sort of self-care for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, obviously we have responsibilities and everything, but I think when people really belong to themselves, there's a certain peace about them, and I think that that's a great model to be for whether you've got kids or colleagues or whoever. But yeah, and I guess that's part of what joy is, really, is belonging to yourself. Very much about yoga and nature and being active. And it's a work in progress. You know, we're always, you know, we're never there, but working on it. Yeah, I think learning to really belong to yourself.
Yeah, we're all, what is it? Masterpieces in progress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. What aspect of yourself do you enjoy the most?
I think it's my quirky sense of humor. Like, I can make myself laugh.
Yeah.
Even when other people don't necessarily get it or find it funny, I still find it funny. You know, like just being able to laugh at myself, like really seriously, or the circumstances, or, you know, like, yeah, I think that's something I enjoy, because I mean, if you find yourself funny, and it's all good, if you get to laugh, you know. If other people do, great, but if they don't, it doesn't matter. You're still laughing anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able, probably the part I like is when I have got that mindset, and can be playful, and just even when things aren't going that well, kind of like see the funny or the ironic side of it, or, you know, like when you're having one of those days where everything's just not working, you go, yeah, of course it would rain right now. Of course my umbrella's at home. You know, like, the more that I could see life as a play, when I'm in that mindset, I think that's something I really enjoy about myself.
Yeah, beautiful. And so on the flip side of that, what would be the aspect of yourself that you least like?
That I least like? It probably is pretty much the opposite of that. So times when I get really caught up in the stories of my mind, and I take myself too seriously, and yeah, I guess the thing with the mind is, depending on what direction you point it, that strength will go to it. So when you got it pointing in the direction of the sunlight, it goes there. But when you have it pointing in the direction of the darkness, it goes there as well. So yeah, I've worked really hard in my life to looking to the sunshine, and yeah, the overly serious and overly critical part, that's probably the bit that that's probably the part I like the least. However, it has been the reason why I've been so driven to do a lot of the things that I do.
Yeah. Beautiful. Sorry, cut out just a little bit, but that's okay.
That's okay.
All right. What would you consider the biggest thing that you have done that you would classify as stepping outside your comfort zone? So I call it being in my edge.
Yeah.
What would your biggest being in your edge be?
Yeah. That was definitely last year, for sure. So, that feeling like when your throat's like this and your stomach's like this and your whole body's just going, oh my gosh, and you're going, no, I'm doing it anyway. Come on, we're doing this. Because, you know, often your comfort zone, it's sort of out there, over there. And I've kind of learnt some strategies to kind of lock it in, like whether it's a flight to that spot or I'm publicly saying that this is happening, and then I just try and catch up, get my confidence to catch up to that area. So for me, it was last year, living my dream, absolute dream. So I lived in Nepal for a very long time, and a while ago now, and I've been back and forth many times, and I love yoga and I love hiking, and the people of Nepal are my friends and they feel like family, and they're just absolutely superb people that I've learnt a lot from. The culture is just absolutely spectacular. And, you know, the scenery in the mountains are phenomenal. And yeah, I was just I always had this idea, and I thought, oh, don't be ridiculous. You know, this kind of idea, oh, I'd love to do yoga and hiking, but I don't know where. And it was the year before last where I don't know, for some reason I asked myself, I said, oh, if only I knew a place where I could do hiking and yoga and I actually knew people and could set it up. And it was like, bing, it was like, hello, Nepal, remember?
Yeah.
So that was like, just even having the thought of it was like, oh my God. And then, you know, you kind of get the chatter in your mind, oh no, you can't do that, don't be ridiculous. But the intuition or the, you know, higher levels going, actually, you know. Yeah. So what I did, I went about it playfully. I decided that, well, let's just imagine, let's just play. What if I was going to do that thing? What could be the first very small step that's really achievable? So the first step was actually, I've still got the picture on my fridge actually, and it's kind of like this reminder, like when I look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, I love that. And I'd love to share that with people. Mm-hmm. And then I went, oh, okay, cool, I did that, all right. What would be the next step? And then each time I'd have a step, it'd be like a hurdle would kind of come in, and I'd just kind of, in my mind, like actually literally imagine visualizing it and just going, okay, you can just go to the side for a moment. You can just stay there, but what is that next step? And so that's how it happened. I just did one step, and oh man, a lot of the time I was absolutely shitting myself. Yeah. Like when I got but it just kept happening. It's like, oh wow, okay, 2 people. Oh, maybe it'll happen. Who knows? 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people. Oh my God, I think this is really going to happen. Yeah. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I had to go, oh my God, where am I stopping this thing at 11? Okay. And so there were lots of times where I just had to say, just the next step. Don't think about more than that, just the next step. And it was worth it. It was so, so worth it. You know, getting there, having all these beautiful people, you know, them having the most amazing time of their life, and quite transformational because that land just is. And, you know, people went back just, yeah, amazing. So it was really, really worth it. And the cool thing of stepping outside or way outside your sort of comfort zone is that, you know, like your comfort zone was this big. When you step out, you grow it. This is the next thing. And, you know, it kind of gets continues. So, yeah, I would say that the thing that was the most outside my comfort zone was also the most absolutely amazing, rewarding, unbelievable, blessed experience. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. What are you most grateful for?
I'm very, very grateful for, I'm grateful for my upbringing. I'm grateful that I've always had food and shelter and safety and a good family and loads of opportunities. Like, you know, for as a female all around the world, you know, probably we are in, you know, the top 5% of, you know, luckiness. So I'm very grateful for all that, and I realise that most of the world don't necessarily have that. So that makes me really passionate to
We're losing you a little bit.
assist in an appropriate way. For that, and somehow along the lines now. Can you hear me?
Oh, you've caught up. You've kind of staggered a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, grateful for everything I've been gifted in this life. Grateful for health. Grateful, that's just unbelievable. Grateful for yoga. Grateful for the beautiful people I've come across and get to connect with in my life. Grateful for nature. Just very, very lucky. Grateful that I have the opportunity to hopefully help people on their way, because lots of people have helped me on my way. Very lucky, very, very grateful. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So I'm a really big fan of the quote, "My life is my message," by Gandhi.
Oh, good one.
And
good one. I've got a painting of him on the wall over there. Beautiful.
So what would you say is the message of your life?
So far, message of my life. That's a really good one too. I think, the message of my life is, I think it's something kind of like, I think it is, you're not your mind.
Cool.
I think it's, you're not your mind, and you can transcend the stories to find joy, I guess. And probably also persistence, and you've got to want the life that you have, and you've got to want it to be joyful so much that you're willing to do anything to make that happen. It's a big question. That we have. I think that the story of my life is that we're more than we can ever imagine we'll be, and also probably you don't have to know, you can be. Like, sometimes you don't have to know about everything. It's the way that you are that has an impact in people's lives, Like, when people pass, you don't hear them saying, oh, he knew about this and he knew about that, or she knew this, she knew that. It was about who they were and how they were. So I think, it's about, I guess, probably not being caught up in here and moving down to the heart. That's probably, that's the one.
I love it. It's so relevant to a book I'm reading at the minute. So
Cool.
Really
Awesome.
cool. All right. So that wraps up my formal question section. So you're out of the woods now. You're safe. And so, Melitta, I really want to give you an opportunity to talk about anything in particular that you'd like to share with our audience. And if it does happen to be the Nepal trip, that's cool. Share the Nepal trip.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I could talk about that forever, because it's in March 31st to the 10th of April. I've got an early bird special coming up. And the reason why I really would love people to be able to come over there is because I know 100% guaranteed once you get there, you're just going to have an amazing time. And it's an adventure, so there's lots of elements to it. So there's a real inner journey, and through the daily yoga we do, and just through the interactions that we have with the Nepali people, and having lived there and been there many times, I've kind of like cherry picked all the really good bits and the good experiences, and it's real raw because you're seeing all of it. You're seeing the parts that could be quite rough and chaotic, but you're also seeing, the beauty. So you're getting hopefully a really real experience of the place and the people. And I just find that what I've noticed is people come on my trips and it's often just at the right time for them. There's been some change, or they need to make a decision, or they're in a process of transformation, or they just need to sort of treat themselves to something like a bit of me time. And there's challenge in it because there's the physical hiking part, but there's lots of beauty, and there's a whole range of things that just happen that are spontaneous, where we kind of go with it. Like, you rock up to a village and little kids start sort of, talking to you in English, and then they want to invite you in to their family for a chai, or, it's really special. And for me, because I love that place so dearly, like it's like home to me, getting to see other people enjoy it that much is really rewarding. And it's just fun. Like, we have so much fun I think there's something really amazing and sort of transformational about the mountains, the Himalayas. There's just this energy there, and I can explain things in my full itinerary and so forth, but you kind of got to be there to really, really understand it. And all the people who have been on the trips, they're like, okay, now I know what you're talking about. And they kind of go home, raving fans. So if anyone feels like they're really ready for something exciting, but also safe and supportive. So I'm aware that not everyone has travelled a lot. That's why we travel in a small group together, and I've got my friends and people I've individually selected to help us along the way. We have a great mountain guide. We have local experts who tell us all about the amazing history. We're doing tea tasting. We're staying at a Buddhist monastery. There's all these little treats in there, and we do it as a team. So we move together and we support each other, and that's also part of the joy of the journey. And as it relates to the yoga, it doesn't matter whether you've done it before or not. It's an inclusive experience. And same with the hiking part. People often think, oh, gee, I don't know about altitude and hiking, but we just go at our own pace. Like, of course, I encourage people to do some walking before they go, but we do it in a very safe, enjoyable team kind of way. And what I've noticed from previous trips is that people form really amazing bonds with each other. And through the yoga and some of the other exercises, sort of coaching kind of things I do along the way, I believe, and it's my intention, that people become closer to themselves. So they get more of a sense of who they are and who they really are and what they really want, and have that sort of deep sense of belonging through the inner journey. So it's an outer journey, which is really fun and sometimes, really crazy, and kind of some things you look at and you go, wow, I can't believe that just, Yeah. But also the inner journey as well. And I think like being lucky enough to introduce people to such an amazing place, and for people to really get to see it all, and not just the tourist kind of, like, we do some tourist things, but to really get to be, in all different aspects of it. So if you know that, you're ready for an adventure and you're looking for something new, we have got a few places left, and I've got the early bird special on until the 28th of February. So that's a really good opportunity to get on board. But of course, if you've got any questions, I, as you know, would love to talk about Nepal. And yeah, if I can be of support anyway, I absolutely would love to do that. And yeah, I'm really excited. There's still plenty of time to get yourself ready. I, give you a lot of help with packing lists, and I've got videos pretty much about like even how to navigate the airport, and we pick you up and all that sort of thing. But I'd just say, if anyone really wants to do it, maybe it's a little bit outside their comfort zone. But as we know, when you step outside of that, that's where the biggest rewards are. So I, encourage you to take that step, but it's in a supportive environment. So yes, very, very excited about that. Yes, very excited. Thank you.
Beautiful. And for people who are interested in speaking with you about this further, where's the best place to find you?
Yes, so we can probably pop a link and my mobile number, but you can look for me on Instagram. So I'm just under Melitta Pinney, and we'll pop that underneath. You can check me out on Facebook. It's kind of fun because you can see lots of videos and photos and things of what we've done in the past. And yeah, please feel free to call me as well. Happy to have a chat, and if anyone's sort of local in Melbourne and wants to meet with me, or you want to do a Skype or whatever, that's cool too. It's nice to get to know each other before we go on an amazing adventure together.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Honestly, it sounds incredible, and I actually know people that have been with you in Nepal before, and they speak glowingly of their experiences and their time with you. And I personally vouch for Melitta, having known her for many years now and worked alongside her in training and coaching. So I've been very lucky and very appreciative being able to call you a friend of mine. So
thank you. Likewise. Likewise. Absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you for this opportunity. It's been fun. Love the questions, Andrea.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, like they were the best conversation I've had in ages. So cool.
Thanks for playing.
Imagine if people did that all the time.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll just carry them around with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. Oh, imagine if they had a TV channel which was these kind of conversations. How interesting.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Really, really cool. So
very good.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, I'll wrap it up.
Thank you.
There. You've been listening to the Joyflu Cast with host Andrea Martell, Joy Scientist. For more details on this cast and others, check out andreamartell.com. Thanks heaps for listening, and with heart and soul, Andrea Martell, Joy Scientist.